Why do we instinctively look under the bed when we hear a bump in the night? Why do we never rationalize our fears, but rather delight in entertaining the possibility of their reality? Why is it that for decades now we've been forking out our hard-earned money to be scared out of our minds as entertainment?
Survival games make us uncomfortable. They're designed to elicit fear and stress. Yet there's some psychological attraction buried in our complicated biology that makes us love a good fright.
It's become something of a cult attraction to being terrified or set uncomfortably on edge by the fog of Silent Hill or the water levels of Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So what is it that keeps us coming back to the genre when the experience isn't typically fun?
It's so stressed in by many designers in the game industry that games need to be fun. For many game experiences like horror games, you can't just be fun. When I think about fun, it's not being in a dark basement with some unknown creature stalking you. I mean, that's not fun. That's stressful. I think it's very important for these kind of games that you think outside of the fun box. It's a very destructive sort of thinking if you want to make a good horror game.
So why immerse yourself in the nasty survival horror-verse?
It is fun because it's scary, but it's also fun because it's telling a story. I guess some people watch horror movies just to get scared. I mean, the plot in horror movies aren't great, but I don't think that that's the same point of the game.
Amnesia sold itself. It started off slow and gained serious momentum after a developer's dream occurred. It went viral. YouTube was stormed with reaction videos and people watched in fear and hilarity as thousands of gung-ho gamers fell to the frightening game world, sharing their own humiliation in the process.
The reason for all of this is that for some clever and complicated biological reason, humans are attracted to the feeling of being terrified.
Alfred Hitchcock has said this is because people like to be scared when they feel safe. Psychologist Norman Holland suggests we turn to literature, to stories, poems, plays or movies, in order to have our emotions stimulated, even in unpleasurable ways.
It's exciting to play these horror games. Your blood starts flowing, and because we live very sheltered lives. It's not like our ancestors 10,000 years ago, where then you could be attacked by bears or whatnot. And it sort of takes us back to that. And we don't have to be camping in Africa or anything to experience this kind of primal emotions, or we can just take it out in a movie or in a game. I think there's something very human about just that sort of stuff.
The environment is always going to be better in a survival horror game because it has to be tailored to induce fear. And also like just events that just freak the shit out of you. Like you turn around and there's a message written in blood that wasn't there before. Yeah, that's a bit unnerving.
Survival horror games are very good at knowing their audience and creating atmosphere. Great survival horror games are clever in that the best of them attempt to be something more than just a decent scare. Same goes for great horror movies.
We see the use of horror as a sounding board for greater issues in a bunch of different ways. Silent Hill often features protagonists who encounter demons and darkness in the game world that are physical manifestations of the emotional monsters in the mind of the lead character.
A major theme in Amnesia is human evil, and you start out as this protagonist who doesn't know what has happened around him, and as you unravel his past, you find out this perhaps unagreeable things that he has been up to. And horror is also a very interesting way of tackling harder subjects. If you look at great horror movies, all of those are sort of metaphors for other things. Instead, you have Saw, it's sort of crime and punishment. Exorcist, it's losing control of yourself, and in Paranormal Activity, it's someone breaking into your house, or just not being able to trust your partner.
Recently there's been a trend in horror games moving away from the classic survival horror and towards more action-based shooters. But does this mean the genre is slowly fizzling out?
A Resident Evil developer would suggest it has, stating, "Look at the marketing data. The market is small. Compared to the number of units Call of Duty and all those action games sell, a survival horror Resident Evil doesn't seem like it'd be able to sell those kinds of numbers." Survival horror games are emotional landmines. It's going out of your way in-game to stand next to a lamp, or making sure you close every door behind you. It's having supersonic hearing for every creak in the floorboards and bump in the night. It's making excuses to pause the game so you can rock back and forth or remember how to breathe.
I had a meeting.
The world of survival horror will forever be a psychological attraction for gamers. But will the genre make it through its recent slump, Or are we starting to see the beginning of the end for the world of survival horror?